How's it going, everybody? I've been taking a little bit of a break before we fire up the hot stove craziness. We got the awards coming this week. Probably going to get Aaron Judge as the MVP, first Yankees MVP since A-Rod in 2007. I still contend that Judge should have won it in 2017 over Jose Altuve, but whatever. That's a rant for another day. My rant today is about Brian Cashman, who has got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch the Astros in the American League, but he seems content to punt this offseason and take another roll of the dice next year in the playoffs should they get there. His words on Aaron Hicks especially were astounding to me. Yesterday he said he'll be back and healthy next season. He has the ability. We just weren't able to consistently tap into it this year. Are you kidding me with that? We all watched Aaron Hicks be terrible all season long. It wasn't a matter of him being healthy or not healthy. Did you know Aaron Hicks played in the second most games of his major league career last season? He played in 130 games. His previous high was 2018, his only good year, in which he played in 137 games. That year he hit 27 home runs. He had an .833 OPS, 224 total bases. This year, more than 100 less total bases, just 120. He hit .216. His on-base percentage was .330, which is not terrible, but it's not as good as it had been for him in years past. He was at .379 in 2020. He was at .372 in 2017, .366 in 2018. But pitchers have figured out that they can pitch to him because he flat out can't hit anymore. The StatCast numbers even confirm that he was terrible in most areas. They still really like walks, but, you got to do more than just walk. He was in the 95th percentile in walk percentage, 93rd percentile in chase rate, and according to StatCast, his arm strength was still pretty good, but I didn't see a lot of great throws out of him this year. Average exit velocity just in the 31st percentile, didn't barrel the ball up that much, and defensively, he took a step backwards. They had to shift him over to left field and trade for a center fielder. And the fact that Brian Cashman thinks that at 34 years old next season, that Aaron Hicks is going to somehow turn it around and become a good player again just shows that he's out of touch with the league. They figured him out. Does he even watch the baseball games? Does he watch as many games as we do? The guy is done. And you're going to run him back out there and just put your hopes on Aaron Hicks? They've also said that Josh Donaldson is coming back. Now, look, I get as the GM, you have to try and build some confidence in these guys and say, hey, we're planning to bring them back, and you don't want to tip your hand too much. There was a time in which he said that Bubba Crosby was going to be the Yankees starting center fielder, and then, a couple of weeks later, they signed Johnny Damon. Some fans will remember that, but I don't think that's the case this year. I think that Brian Cashman, as he's aged, has begun to work less hard and be less creative. I don't think he really even minds that Aaron Hicks and Josh Donaldson are over the hill. I think he's content to have holes in his team, which is why the Yankees aren't going to get past the Astros. I told you when the offseason ended that the Yankees have a lot of work to do if they want to catch the Astros. I wasn't sure it could be done in a single offseason, and I was skeptical that Brian Cashman had the clubs in his bag to get this team over the top. And I continue to feel that way. Now, maybe he's just offering up platitudes so that, he could move these guys and, not tip his hand or make these guys confident in the winter. But this is not the time for that. And this is one of the things that drives Yankees fans so nuts. We watched probably more than any other fan base. The Yankees TV network ratings and attendance are both through the roof compared to the rest of Major League Baseball. And we understand our team. We understand our players. Aaron Hicks is not a good baseball player. Neither is Josh Donaldson, not anymore. Not only that, Josh Donaldson is just a straight-up pain in the neck as a human being. And Aaron Hicks gave up and had to be benched at one point this year. Now, he did come back and played a little bit better down the stretch, but not much better. Not enough to warrant coming back, and I get it. They're both under contract. You're not going to find anybody to take those salaries. And Brian Cashman just doesn't have it in his DNA to release people, which I don't get because other teams do it. I think it's a matter of stubbornness and pride. He doesn't want to admit that last year's big offseason trade was terrible or that signing Aaron Hicks was terrible. Now, at the time that you signed Aaron Hicks, it actually didn't look like a bad deal. 7 years for $70 million, a guy coming off of a pretty good season, but he's completely gone in the tank after that, and it should have been, a red flag that, his good year in 2018 was really the first time he'd ever stayed healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy consistently, but this year he was pretty much healthy. He just stunk. And Brian Cashman's, bet is that he can be healthy and good next year. But my guess is you're going to have one or the other. You're either going to have him come out with a chip on his shoulder and be great for a couple of weeks and then get hurt, or in my opinion, the much more likely scenario, he's going to try and preserve his health and he's going to play at about 70% like he did this year, and he's going to continue to stink up the joint and try and hit home runs and pimp his 8 home runs a year. And this is kind of a off-topic thing. Am I the only one who thinks that you shouldn't act like Reggie Jackson when you hit a home run? If you only hit a handful of them per year? Come on. Let's grow up. Meanwhile, it's become clear in the reporting that the Astros are making Anthony Rizzo one of their top priorities. They need a first baseman. They have Yuli Gurriel, but he's getting a little bit long in the tooth. But so is Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo did hit 32 home runs for the Yankees, so if the Astros sign him, not only are the Yankees now trying to fill a hole at first base, but they've lost a big left-handed bat and 30-plus home runs out of their lineup. If Brian Cashman were smart, he would have had people in the system ready to take over for some of these guys when they left. How come the Yankees don't have any good first base prospects? How come the Yankees don't really have any good left-handed hitting prospects? These are the reasons why fans are upset with Brian Cashman, why we didn't want him back, and why watching him talk and mumble his way through a press conference in which he gives us a bunch of meaningless platitudes is so impossible. The man does not deserve our respect anymore. He's only got one championship. I'm not crediting him with 98 through 2000 because Gene Michael built those and Bob Watson. The only time he's won a championship is when he spent Hal's money in 2009. He has shown that he is incapable of developing young pitchers, of drafting young pitchers. How many guys were supposed to be fantastic pitchers that the Yankees drafted that ended up fizzling out and doing nothing? Jacob Lindgren. Phil Hughes was okay. Yankees totally mishandled Java Chamberlain. Ian Kennedy was pretty good, but only after the Yankees traded him way too soon. Brian Cashman is just an inept, horrible executive. I'm not going to change my stance on that. Occasionally he pulls a rabbit out of his hat. The Harrison Bader move seems like it was a pretty good move. But far too often, he fails to make the layup. We've said this a number of times on this channel. Bryce Harper should have absolutely been a Yankee. And if not him, Manny Machado. And I get it. The Yankees traded for Giancarlo Stanton a year early. Giancarlo, for the most part, when he's been healthy, has been, as expected. He's been a home run machine. But he's also been injured a lot, also strikes out a lot. And he's kind of a redundant player to Aaron Judge in a way, only not as good because he's not as good defensively and doesn't hit for as high of an average. I think Giancarlo hit, under 220 this year, while Aaron Judge hit over 300. And speaking of Judge, the clock is ticking. It sounds like Hal Steinbrenner wants to bring him back. Sounds like he's had some conversations. They're considering making him a captain. We're not hearing about Aaron Judge meeting with other teams or going to dinner in San Francisco with the Giants GM or anything like that, so that's a positive sign. But you got to get something done with Judge pretty soon so that you can focus on the rest of the offseason. And honestly, I don't know if it's going to happen very soon, because if I were Judge, I would want to hear every offer from every team. You wait this long to become a free agent, you want to, play it out and get the most you can. But the fact that the Yankees brought back Brian Cashman seems like a complete fumble, and it seems like we're going to have more of the same. I've already seen a number of people say that if Donaldson and Hicks are back and IKF is back starting, I don't mind IKF being on the bench, but if IKF is starting at shortstop and Donaldson's at third base and Aaron Hicks is in left field, I've seen a lot of people say that they're not going to watch, and I don't blame you. I'm definitely going to do the podcast next year, but I'll be completely forthright with you. I am not going to be excited to watch those guys. Sorry for the rare off-season rant, but I'm just not feeling very positive about the direction of this team under Brian Cashman. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll be back when there's news. Hopefully Aaron Judge winning the MVP on Thursday, and we'll celebrate that a little bit. Maybe do a live stream, talk about what's going on with the team. I'll see you next time.